Samir, what are your views on the recent judgment of Supreme Court on Aadhaar? Are you aware of it?
Yes, sir. I think I read about it in the newspaper, wherein Supreme Court has ensured that the privacy of citizen is also taken care of. What they have done, only the government institutes can now use the Aadhaar data to verify our identity, such as income tax department or PAN or passport. They can ask for it if it's needed. But the private players like mobile operators and private, even including banks, because it has to be level playing field, they cannot ask me to compulsorily submit my Aadhaar, which I think it's in the step in the right direction, sir, because data is a concern.
But I read somewhere recently that there are 10 agencies under central government which have been given the powers to basically get into even our personal computers. So the computer sitting here, we can get into it and access whatever. Do you think we are moving towards becoming a surveillance state that way?
Sir, this is, I'll say it's a difficult situation for government also. We have to understand from their point of view also. And at the same time, the citizens' concerns are also very valid. So it's always the security as well.
I mean, the concern is very simple. Yeah? How can somebody get into my computer and check what I've got on my hard disk?
Sir, it's for this simple reason, because we as good citizens, we think that they should not. But there can be a citizen among us who will cause harm to the country. That's where the national security comes in. And I believe for the safety of the people in large, and also we understand, sir, one small instance of terrorism, I'll not say small, one instance of terrorism haunts us for nearly a decade now. So we have to avoid those, even if there is a minutest chance of that happening, and if certain amount of minimal surveillance done properly in the right context.
No, Samir, okay, you know a lot about it, Samir, but say a yes or no. You support it, you do not support it.
Sir, again, if you ask me, national interest is also important. Where I do not support it is how it is conducted at present. What I believe is that there should be a framework, a legal, transparent framework for surveillance to happen in this country. Government should have that clearly mandated. Maybe an independent judiciary should oversee it. It should be laid down in constitution. There should be complete oversight over it and seen to it it's used for the purpose it is asked to.
Do you think government acted in a hurry on this issue?
Sir, looking at the timing of the upcoming, election, it might, and that's the reason.
So you're saying it's a political gimmick?
I'm not saying that's political gimmick, sir. It's what oppositions are trying to make it. But I think even my opinion is government should ensure that even if that happens, it happens in a transparent way. Even now, we have a Supreme Court judgment which is far from perfect. I believe till the last, only the Joint Secretary can give the go ahead. So that's little something that creates fear in the opposition with the election coming, and we might hear a lot about it. But I think government should also take the ownership now, ensure that it is doing it in transparent way and showing to the public there is no malevolent intentions there.
Good, Samir. You seem to be reading your newspapers and magazines regularly. Good. So many of you would say इतना नहीं जाते हैं इस लेवल तक, जा सकते हैं. I would not say जाते हैं कि नहीं जाते हैं. I will not say whether they would go to this extent or not, but they might go to this extent. The idea is not to understand and endorse your political ideology. No, the idea is just to understand whether you read, whether you know about it, whether you form opinions based on logic and reason and not on fanaticism, things like that. If you can answer that, and he handled it pretty well. I mean, if had it been given to somebody who is less well read that way, it would have been very, very tough to answer.
You have to understand, what helps me here is I was aware about the topic. Had I no clue, I'll be wasting my time and his time.
I would not have asked.
You would not have asked also. So, when you come out as a knowledgeable person, analytical, not taking any extreme stance, they will be interested in knowing your opinion. That is what interview about. A lot of you say, even in some of our interviews where one of the candidate has given as his hobby as current affairs, and when we ask current affairs question, you are not very happy. But this is what interview should be about, right? The opinion. You want to see how your candidate is thinking.
So much of cross questioning means panels interested, and at times people take it in exactly the opposite way. Too much cross questioning, they are hell bent on making my life difficult. No, absolutely not. Too much of cross questioning, it means that they think you are probably capable of answering the questions. They'll not, as I said, I would not have asked these questions had he faltered at the first instance. Fine. So that is the reason why it is important. So cross questioning means they're interested. They're probably looking for a 100 out of 100 kind of guy. If they're cross questioning, if they're not, you will never get a 100 out of 100. Believe me, 100 out of 100 comes when it's a tough paper. Have you heard about the Citizenship Act?
Yes, sir. I have heard about it. You know a little about it.
Yeah.
The Citizenship Act of 1955 was introduced, to define the base of who can be an Indian citizen. And there were 5 principles on which the main summary is that there are 5 principles on who can be an Indian citizen.
Which 5 principles?
So the first, the 5 is, one is birth. By birth you can be an Indian citizen. By descent means, if someone's father or parents, mother, one parent is Indian, how can he or she be an Indian citizen? Then third, there is registration. You apply for Indian citizenship and then you get it after a period of time. Then naturalization. You have been staying here for a long period of time, 20 years, 30 years. You naturally become the citizen of India. So there are principles, there are laws. How can you be a naturalized citizen of India? And the last one is incorporation, through territorial expansion. For example, this happened with Sikkim. When in the late 60s, Sikkim came into the fold of India. When Goa came into the fold of India. All the residents of Goa and Sikkim automatically became Indian citizens because India acquired that part.
One of these 5 was in news recently, or is in news recently.
Yes.
Which one of them?
Sir, the naturalization.
Naturalization. What is the debate about?
Sir, the idea of nationalization before the amendment that is recently being discussed. And the controversy of that amendment is that a person needs to be here for at least 11 years, to be naturally a citizen of India.
11 consecutive years.
Yes, and not 11. He has to be for 11 years, and for the last 12 months he has to be in the country. Okay, so that is the basis of naturalization. Now, the controversy is in the amendment. There has been a proposed amendment that's running in the parliament, where the amendment is from 3 countries: Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Bangladesh. The minorities of these 3 countries, which are Hindus, Buddhists, Jains, Sikhs, then Christians and Parsis, these 6 communities, these are minorities in these Muslim dominated countries. So they would be given citizenship through naturalization within after 6 years only and not 11 years.
Okay, so that is the controversy.
That is the amendment that has been.
What is the controversy about?
So the controversy is, in all of these, only one community, that is the Muslim community, has been not included, right? The logic that, or the rationale behind the government's rationale behind it is that in these 3 countries, Muslims are majority. So there is very few chance that Muslims would flee away from there due to being slaughtered or due to being some way exploited. It is the minority who would be coming, and on human grounds we are therefore forwarding it. So these are Muslim countries, therefore they do not need special treatment in India out here for them. But the controversy comes in when we look at our constitution. We talk about right to equality. Now the critics of this amendment are saying that this violates the right of equality, because according to right to equality, every religion is to be treated equally, and the provision should be equal for everyone. So that's one. And there is another controversy also that is related to, if these comes into effect, then the whole job of NRC, the population count, the Assam Accord, everything would be of no use then. If you had seen the answers, we have always said supporters of this and critics of this. Until and unless the interviewer asks you to take a stand on this, they would normally not in controversial topics. Even if what are you supposed to do? You are supposed to give them your opinion later and reason first. Please understand that. Don't jump to opinion.
By starting by saying like,
exactly.
I support this bill because no. I mean, they'll be put off immediately. To a topic like this, to which there is no, conclusive answer like that, you are starting by saying.
As a matter of fact, ask this question. Let us show them that.
Let's just do it one more time. So, Ratnabha, you explained it well. But if I ask you, what is your stand on it? What do you think about it?
Sir, as I said, that there are both the critics and supporters have valid arguments.
What is your take on it?
So, I'm coming to it. So I'll just give how I'm arriving to that. First of all, I think that yes, there is genuine need if people who are coming to us in India because they are being exterminated in their home countries. Do we give them shelter on human grounds? Yes, that's something that we can do. But when we look at it, this our human nature is being exploited a lot, because people come here for economic opportunities and not because they are cannot live in their countries. And that is jeopardizing our national security too, because the borders become porous, and we have people who might compromise our nation's security inside our country. Also, it sort of gives the whole thing of we did Assam Accord. So Assam Accord was that from Bangladesh there were so many immigrants that were coming in Assam, and Assamese people themselves were not getting the jobs because Bangladeshi immigrants were charging much lesser than what should have been charged. So they were disrupting the markets, and this disruption is not it's not the economic disruption. This is because the markets were being forced to disrupt. And that is why what was happening, our own countrymen were suffering. So, if we need to choose, I would say that on human grounds, yes, but lowering down the 11 years to 6 years does not make any sense, a lot of sense to me, because
if you think this has been done keeping an eye on the polls,
it might be, sir. I mean, that is one of the things that critics have been saying all along, because the timing had been so opportune.
Ratnabha, you understand what is happening here.
Yes.
You are saying there is a Buddhist from Pakistan, naturalization happens in 6 years. If there is a Muslim from Pakistan, then naturalization happens in 11 years.
So that's what I'm saying. Keep it 11 years for everyone. Why to change?
Then you're a supporter of the theory that this has been done keeping an eye on the polls.
That I do not know, but yes, that's an inference that can be taken.
They will not go to an extent like this, but if your understanding is right, whatever they do, and in fact, if they ask you tougher questions, it means that they think that you will be in a position to answer those tougher questions, right? So it's a good sign. Do not be worried.
It's a good sign, right? And before taking a stand, I gave a reason, and then when he prodded me, okay, then you are a supporter. I'm a supporter of this. I'm not taking any political stand, but yes, I'm a supporter on this issue. Then he said what? Last question was that keeping an eye on the polls. I do not have the data, but yes, there is an inference that can be made from this, right? So this is how you build it.